You ever watch a game and just, wow. I mean, the power, the grace of an elite athlete, that incredible dunk, that impossibly fast sprint. It looks like pure magic, right? But what if I told you there's a simple, elegant secret behind all of it? A set of rules that powers every single move.
So let's just zero in on one thing. How does an athlete leap so ridiculously high? I mean, picture that basketball player, right? They're coiled up like a spring, and then bam, they just explode towards the hoop. How is that even possible? It feels like they're just hanging up there. We see it all the time, but what's actually going on?
Well, it's not magic, and it's not some secret superpower. It's physics. Yep, plain and simple physics. Specifically, it all comes down to 3 fundamental laws of motion. Laws that Sir Isaac Newton figured out centuries ago. And get this. These aren't just for, planets flying through space. They are the invisible rulebook for every single athletic move you've ever witnessed.
Okay, so let's break it down. We'll start with law number 1. I kind of think of this as the foundation. It's the law that answers the most fundamental question: how does anything start moving at all?
The law says an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion. But here's the kicker: unless acted upon by an external force. That last part, that's everything. Nothing moves, nothing stops, nothing changes course without some kind of outside push or pull. That's the key that turns the engine on. And this resistance to change has a name: inertia. It's like objects are a little bit lazy. They want to keep doing whatever they're already doing. And the more stuff something is made of, the more mass it has, the more inertia it has. It's just harder to get it going, and once it's moving, it's harder to make it stop.
And you see this all over the place in sports. A football just sits there on the tee until someone kicks it. A sprinter is locked in place until that starting gun fires and their muscles explode into action. And our basketball player? Before they can even think about jumping, they have to use their muscles to create a force big enough to overcome their own inertia, to break free from just standing still.
Okay, so the first law gets us off the couch, basically. But how fast do we go? How high do we jump? That's where the second law comes in. I call this one the engine, because it's all about how much power you're really putting into the move. And it all boils down to this iconic little equation: F equals m times a. Force equals mass times acceleration. This right here is the mathematical secret that connects the push to the speed. So what does that actually mean? Well, F is for force. That's the push from the athlete's muscles. M is for mass. That's basically how much stuff the athlete is made of, their body weight. And A is for acceleration. That's the fun part. It's how quickly they change their speed, going from 0 to launch.
And the relationship here is super straightforward. The more force you apply, the more acceleration you get. It's so intuitive, right? Kick a soccer ball harder, it goes faster. And for our basketball player, it's the same deal. The more force they can generate with their legs, the faster they'll accelerate upwards, and the higher that jump is going to be. It really is that simple.
All right, on to the final piece of the puzzle, the third law. Now, this one can feel a little backward at first, but trust me, it's crucial. I call it the launch pad, because without this law, nobody, and I mean nobody, is getting off the ground. Here's what it says. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. What that really means is that forces are never lonely. They always come in pairs. If you push on something, it pushes back on you. Same amount of force, just in the opposite direction. Always.
So let's go back to our basketball player. How does this apply? They don't just will themselves into the air. The action is the player pushing down on the floor with all their strength. But then comes the reaction. The floor pushes back up on the player with that exact same amount of force. And that upward push, that's the launch. That's what sends them flying. And once you see it everywhere. A swimmer pushes water backward to go forward. A sprinter shoves back against the starting blocks, and it's the blocks that push them forward down the track. This invisible force, this ground reaction force, is like the secret hero of sports. It is the launch pad.
So you see, it's not one law at a time. They all work together, in a beautiful, perfectly timed sequence, all happening in a split second, to create one single, powerful athletic move.
Let's put it all together one more time with our jump. First, the player's muscles have to create a force just to overcome their own inertia. That's the first law. Then, how much force they create determines their upward acceleration. That's the second law, F equals ma. And finally, that entire launch is only possible because as they push down, the ground provides an equal and opposite reaction force, pushing them up. And that's the third law.
But here's what's really cool. This isn't just for analyzing athletes on TV or passing a physics test. When you really get this, it's like you've unlocked a new way of seeing the world. It's kind of like a superpower.
Because these rules, they're not just for sports. They are the rules for all movement. They explain how you get out of bed in the morning, how you walk to the kitchen, how you push a door open. Every single thing you do is this tiny, perfect dance between inertia, force, and reaction.
So next time you're watching a game, or honestly, even just walking down the street, look for it. Try to spot it. See the moment someone overcomes inertia. See the force that creates acceleration. And really appreciate that for every amazing jump or sprint, there was an equal and opposite push making it happen. So now that you're in on a secret, what unseen forces are you going to spot?